So here we're going to work out this problem without actually have step 1, step 2, step 3, but we are going to work through the steps. Step 1 says that we need to, so this is where you're flipping back to your notes that you just took, and you're looking to see what step 1 told you to do. Step 1 said write the equation in standard form. This is already given to us in standard form. So we get to move to step 2. Is b equal to 0? Is there no linear term? Well, a is equal to -1. There is no linear term, so b equals 0, and the constant term is 36. Check. Now we're going to isolate that -x squared. So we're going to isolate the quadratic term. So I'm going to subtract 36 from both sides, which gives me -x squared equals -36. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to go back and I'm going to show my work. Subtract 36, subtract 36. And that's how we get -x squared equals -36. I'm going to divide both sides by -1 because I need a coefficient of 1 for my quadratic term. -36 divided by -1 is positive 36. And now I can square root both sides. And when you square root both sides, you've got a plus or minus. So x equals plus or minus 6. And I'm going to, on all of these problems, I am going to plot my answer. There's 0 in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to plot those two answers. In both of these cases, we had two answers. I'm going to plot them on the x-axis, and then I'm going to draw a little y-axis right there. So x and y. Okay, you go ahead and try this one, and when you're ready to reveal the answer, you might want to use your calculator on this one as well, just so that we have an idea of where our value is. Okay? So at the end, if you need to use a calculator, you can do that so that we can estimate an answer. Okay, I am going to say that this is yes. This has an a equals 1/4, b equals 0, c equals -2, check. So I've got 1/4 x squared minus 2 equals 0. 1/4 x squared equals 2. By adding 2 to both sides, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. I get x squared equals 8. I'm going to square root both sides. And when I square root both sides, I get a plus or minus. So x equals plus or minus the square root of 8. Well, the square root of 8 is between the square root of 1 and the square root of 9. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 9 is 3. And the square root of 8 is very close to the square root of 9. So I'm going to say it's approximately 2. Well, if I were you, I would probably look at my calculator. I'm going to go with 2.8, but check that in your calculator and see if the square root of 8 is about 2.8. So this is our exact answer. Although we know that the square root of 8 breaks down. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into 4 2 times. It's a pair of 2's, so 2 times the square root of 2. So our answer is x equals plus or minus 2 times the square root of 2. However, we want to also plot this on the coordinate plane. So we've got our x-axis, 0, and we've got our y-axis, right? That's our y-axis. And we said it was about 2.8. Hopefully you checked that in your calculator. 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and we'll have 2.8-ish and negative 2.8-ish. So our graph would cross the x-axis in those two locations. So if you had x equals or is approximately 2.8, I think it's 2.83. Just looked at my calculator and I think it was 2.83. So either one of these answers, this is an exact answer that I provided first, and this is an approximate answer. And this is just what it will look like, right? I think this was a positive 1/4 x squared, so it looks something like that. Okay, here's another try. We're going to put this in standard form, so we're going to add 16 to both sides. X squared, when I add 16, I get x squared plus 9 equals 0. A equals 1, B equals 0, C equals 9. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. Now I'm going to square root both sides, which gives me a plus or minus. X equals plus or minus, oh boy, the square root of negative 9 is not real. Not real. So x equals plus or minus, not real. That means that there is no solution. And we're going to say no real solution. No real solution. In Algebra 2, you'll learn about imaginary solutions. So if there's no real solution, that means on my graph, I don't have any x-intercepts to plot. So that means that there are no x-intercepts. That's an important concept. When there's no solution, no real solution, that means that there's no x-intercepts. So important, I'm going to highlight that. So no solution means no x-intercepts. So we're going to have a few more examples and tries when it comes to graphing. When it comes to graphing, I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 graphs here that we're going to plot and solve by graphing. These two examples and these two tries, they went along with the two that we just did. So they went along with those other ones that we did. So in the next video, we'll solve by graphing, and we'll have some